Welcome back to another Mobalytics counterplay video. Today's video is all about Lissandra. Lissandra is an AoE damaging and crowd controlling machine capable of either completely shutting down specific targets or dealing huge teamfight damage instead. Despite Lissandra being pretty low range, she has more than enough utility, CC and damage to make her incredibly impactful in the right hands. So first off, we're going to take a look at some of her strengths and weaknesses. Well, Lissandra is a pretty juicy lane bully. She can whittle her opponents down with her extended Q range through minions, and she can obliterate waves with her basic abilities, opening up lots of opportunities to roam. Lissandra has extremely high pick potential and gank setup thanks to her W and her ultimate. This makes her a great fit into most team compositions, and it offers a great lane to play through. Lissandra's E is an amazing flanking tool. It allows her to port herself into the enemy team and cause some real chaos with her damage and crowd control. Lissandra can also be very hard to shut down due to the mobility of her E, the safety of her ultimate, and potentially even a Zhonya's Hourglass too. While she does have amazing all-in potential though, Lissandra really has to commit to it, which can be pretty awkward if her team aren't on the same page. Lissandra is also very punishable in the early game. Without her E, she's super vulnerable to ganks, and due to being a squishy mage without those items, she can easily be taken out. Lissandra also suffers with low range. Although she may be adept at punishing melee lanes, she really struggles against those who can constantly poke and bully her. So now we're going to take a look at Lissandra's kit to better understand how she plays, as well as what to look out for when you're matched up against her. So Lissandra's passive spawns invulnerable, untargetable thralls that when enemy champions die in her vicinity will chase down and slow nearby targets that they can see. After 4 seconds they will explode and deal a sizable chunk of magic damage to all nearby enemies. This can be especially deadly in a team fight where the takedowns are coming out left, right and centre. Lissandra's Q is a line skill shot that deals magic damage as well as slowing the first target that it hits. It seems simple enough, the range is small and you can easily sidestep it, perhaps even using your minions to body block it. Nope, you don't want to do that. Upon hitting an enemy, Lissandra's Q will shatter. This will extend its range and deal the same amount of magic damage but not apply the slow. So make sure you're not hiding behind your minions and try to keep Lissandra at an arm's length. If you get hit by this spell repeatedly, it's just going to force you out of lane and you're never really going to have a chance to play against her. Especially for playing a melee champion, this can really ruin your game. Lissandra's W is a point blank air effect ability that deals magic damage whilst also rooting all targets hit for a short duration. This ability has next to no cast time, so it can be an absolute nightmare to deal with if you're playing a low range champion. Try and look for opportunities to bait it out before you go in, otherwise she'll just completely shut you down with it. Lissandra's E is a line skill shot that deals magic damage to all enemies it passes through. Its slow movement speed makes it a fairly simple ability to dodge, but she can reactivate this ability to blink to the projectile's current location. Keep track of where that claw is going and make sure you're reacting to it. Lissandra's ultimate changes depending on who Lissandra targets with this ability. Should she target herself, she will encase herself in ice, becoming untargetable and immune to all incoming damage, whilst also healing herself over this duration. This can be an absolute pain to deal with as it essentially acts like a second Zhonya's, completely negating your burst damage. It also deals a significant amount of AoE damage to nearby enemies when she uses it, so if she's in the middle of your team, it's seriously going to hurt. This ability can also be used on an enemy champion to completely lock them up and deal a ton of damage too. Due to being a single target point and click ability, this is impossible to dodge, so it'd be wise staying at an arm's length away from Lissandra, especially if you're melee. So at what points of the game is Lissandra at her best and when is she at her weakest? Well, Lissandra is definitely best in the mid game when she has the damage and survivability to cause havoc around the map, making picks, locking down enemies, and actually becoming very hard to take out herself. Lissandra is at her weakest during the early game. As she's a mage, she doesn't have the items or abilities to do her job just yet, and when her cooldowns are recently used, she's super easy to punish. Try to take advantage of this early on and shut her down through ganks or all-ins. So let's talk about how you can deal with this champion through all stages of the game. In the early game, you'll want to not be anywhere near your minions, as with the shattering on her Q, Lissandra will still be able to poke you down. If she does this, she will likely push you in though, meaning she is actually quite open to ganks. Be careful she doesn't push and roam though, as Lissandra's ganks are very effective, especially post 6. Make sure that you keep out of range of Lissandra while she's farming. She can easily clip you with her W and lock you down long enough to pull off a rather nasty trade or delay you until her jungler comes in. You'll want to make sure you're keeping your eye out for when Lissandra uses her E. Now it could mean that she's looking to get closer to pull off a CC chain for a jungle gank, and you can easily back up and let the ability run its course. If she uses this ability to clear a wave though, she's now far more punishable, so look to fight her during this window. When Lissandra gets her ultimate, she's now instantly more threatening. She has the ability to either A, prevent you from killing her by self-casting it, which can ruin your day if you're tower diving, or B, she can use it to lock you down instead and take you out, which is especially punishing if her jungler is nearby. Overall, in the early game, it's about respecting her cooldowns and punishing her when they're down. Lissandra has a lot of tools to lock you down and control the lane, but without them, she's very vulnerable. In the mid game, Lissandra will be an absolute CC powerhouse. If you're playing a high value target like an AD carry for example, make sure you're respecting her and keeping her at a distance. If she hits you with her ultimate, you're likely going to struggle to stay alive whatsoever. It's at this point in the game where multi-champion skirmishes are far more prevalent. This means that her passive will really shine here, so make sure you're not standing near your teammates should they fall in battle, as you'll be finding yourself going down that same path. Keep up your wards around the map. With her E, Lissandra can gank for some very unusual places, so keep your eyes peeled and that minimap lit up. Remember that Lissandra is an all or nothing champion. Once she's committed, she's very prone to a response. Wait for her to waste her cooldowns, stall out her ultimate, and turn around and burst her down when you get the chance. Lissandra will almost always use her E to engage, and if she does, she's a sitting duck. In the late game, Lissandra will start falling off as more magic resist itemization comes into effect, but due to her amazing pick potential, it would be best if you respect her and continue to follow the same guidelines of keeping her at range and not fighting in those confined areas. Similar to the mid game, be sure to keep your wards out in full force, as Lissandra will be looking to get those cheeky flanks off with her E. You can also look to make a pick of your own on Lissandra, either forcing her to use her ult defensively or just completely remove her from the game. You're going to want to try and keep track of her ultimate, her Zhonya's and her flash usage, as there is very few windows for you to punish her. Lissandra's raw CC and damage potential can be devastating in a late game teamfight. However, she does have to fully throw herself into the midst of your team to pull that off. Don't get caught out in choke points and fight her on your own terms, not hers. Finally, let's take a look at a few quick itemization options that you can build to help play against this champion. First off is the most obvious one, and that's building magic resist. There are plenty of magic resist items in the game that will help you survive against Lissandra. A special mention goes to Mercury's Treads as a boost option, not only for the magic resist but also for the CC reduction, which will be insanely useful against this champion. You can also get yourself some anti-burst items, whether that's more of an Mortius or an Immortal Shield Bow. These items will be amazing to grab against this champion, completely negating her full damage combo and potentially allowing you to retaliate, when you are finally able to move that is. Don't forget that you can also get yourself a Quicksilver Sash. If you didn't take Cleanse because Lissandra was the only CC threat, then Quicksilver Sash is a great item to take against her heavy CC, allowing you to easily cleanse her ult stun and potentially turn the fight in your favour. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of this Lissandra counterplay video. We hope you enjoyed it and we really hope it helped going into those games against this champion. If there's a specific champion that you want to know how to counter, drop us a comment below and we'll see if we can knock something up for you. We'll see you next time, and as always, take care.